and welcome back to another episode of Runners Like Us, a place for the everyday runner to share their journey of triumphs and their passion of all things running, plus a look at everyday life. Today's episode is a special one because I get to sit down. Well, we get to sit down with a close friend of mine, Greg Sagan. Greg is a new dad, an ultra runner, a muscle hamster on his bike, and someone who thrives on adventures and pushing himself to the next level. We'll be diving into what goes through his mind during a 100-miler, how he handled the physical and mental challenges, and what keeps him coming back for more. Welcome, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Mish. Thanks for having me, guys.
We've been friends for quite some time, so I just love following you and all your adventures. And, I ask a lot of questions and get the scoop from you.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's brought our relationship closer in the last few years. Just
Mhm.
a love of running and, the people that you introduced me to and vice versa. So we'll just keep growing on this.
For sure. Tell us just a little about yourself, where you live, all that.
Yeah, 36-year-old, new dad, a 4.5-month-old, almost 5 months already, which is crazy to say. Beautiful baby girl named Avery, and up here in the beautiful mountains of Avon, Colorado, and been up here in the Ville Valley for about 6 years. Been in Colorado for about 12, and love this little place. This little gym. It's a work hard, play hard environment up here, and definitely find myself playing harder.
You get out the door and you get elevation instantly.
It's always tricky planning your routes and workouts because there's no such thing as flat really, unless you're going east or west here in the Ville Valley corridor. North and the south is where you're typically getting your most gains, and that's the most fun because you're going right up to the mountains and finding some pretty quick seclusion away from the hustle of the tourists down here.
How long have you two known each other?
Mish and I have known each other for, I want to say, about 10, 11 years now, Michelle, right?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Met through some amazing mutual friends in Breckenridge. Our relationship has just grown from there. And yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
can't believe
awesome.
it's already been 10 years.
I know. I think it's been 10 because let's see, 2, 4. Yeah, probably about that much.
I mean, the fact that I've already been in Colorado for 12 is kind of crazy itself.
So have you always been a runner? And also what makes you a runner like us?
I've definitely not always been a runner. I've always been an athlete my whole life in terms of all the sports. Really got into running, I guess, when I first moved here, living in Steamboat Springs. A friend of mine at the time was living there from high school and kind of introduced me to the world of trail running. Done, tons of local race years up there in Steamboat. And then I kind of took a little break from that and fell in love with mountain biking, obviously. And then met my now wife, who got me more into running with just her experience and background, and then moved to Lakewood after about 4 years of Steamboat. And then that's kind of got me more into the running aspect and local race series. We ended up signing up for a 12-hour race down there in White Ranch about
Nice.
8, 9 years ago, and then kind of just dabble just for the love of running. It's fun. It's easy to do at the time living down there, and then just moving to Breck, about, say, it was already 7 years ago, and, dabbling more into the trail running up there too, getting to the high alpine stuff, and then introduced me to more people, that running community, and then came over here to the Ville Valley. I quickly found out mountain biking is definitely my jam, my go-to, but the amount of trails that you can't mountain bike, and I'm a geek for mapping and just looking at stuff and routing things and just kind of playing around up here in the mountains and getting more into the Gore Range and some of the local mountain ranges around here. I mean, just seeing how far you can take it, and then signing up for more races. My first long ultra race was Run Rabbit Run 3 years ago, and then from there it's like, well, what's next? That felt almost too good.
Yeah. How long was the Run Rabbit?
The Run Rabbit Run, yeah, it was the 50-miler, which is honestly perfect. It was 11 hours 20 minutes, and it was a quintessential fall day in the Alpine up there and the beautiful aspen groves of Steamboat. And that was my first long ultra. And then the years before this 100-mile race that I just did was just getting to know the backyard a little more. The 15, the 20-mile, the 30-mile days of just kind of, quote unquote, getting lost and just routing things point A to point B and getting out there, some remote spots that if it were easy, everyone would be doing it.
True, that's true. What made you jump into 50 mile for your first ultra though?
I have the tendency to be the yes man. And my buddy at the time signed up for the 100 the year prior or 2 years prior and did that. And he's like, hey, Greg, registration opens up from the Run Rabbit. And it was about 10 months before the actual race. I said, you know what? Let's do this. Tapping this up in a whole new world and a whole new realm of, 50 miles. And at that time, like, I'm doing 50 miles. That for me was just like, all right, let's do this. Let's train for it, and it actually forced me to get outside more in the winter and run. The winter blues at times, 2-3 months, like, all right, you're getting some miles in, it's 15 degrees out. And I remember running outside, it was 8 degrees out. Honestly, for my mental health, getting out for those few months in the winter when it was, dark at 4 o'clock helped me a lot. Kept that going right into the spring, and I felt really good coming to that 50 miler. So
That's
Yeah.
dope.
Tell us about your most recent adventure. You did the San Juan Softie.
not as soft as you thought.
That's
Love
awesome.
it. How long was it? Where was it? And what was the
Yeah.
elevation gain?
Yeah, so San Juan Softie is the second year that the race director put it on down in the San Juans out of Purgatory Resort, so about 30 miles north of Durango, just south of Silverton. 100 miles, just a huge, beautiful loop down there, kind of clockwise loop, just up and over Engineer Pass and right dead straight into the San Juans, and then kind of west towards the town of Rico, and then you kind of push south again, and just an incredible, just the San Juans are just so humbling. The whole mountain range down there, just incredible. It was really good, leading up to the race. A couple of wildfires, obviously, this summer in Colorado was super dry, and about 2 weeks prior to the race, a fire, Stoner Mesa loop. The fire actually started about 30 miles west of the race. So a couple of redirects and reroutes. They got the green light. Race went on, covering 100 miles, about 20,000 feet of vert. Overall, 33 hours and 59 minutes was my time.
So
Solid
good.
first 100.
How did you manage and overcome an injury during race prep, your training?
Man, yeah, come to find out, training for 100 miles is not so easy. Definitely some overuse training. I never like to get out of shape. I don't allow myself to get out of shape. So in terms of sticking to an actual principle of progression kind of foundation of training about 4 months out, I was just, loading up the miles week by week, 30, 40, 50s. I think I topped out at 60 miles of the weeks, and just, relying in the mountains in the backyard just to get as much vert as possible. Yeah, about 6 weeks out from the race, had a overuse injury from running a lot. Didn't cross train as much as I should have. Kind of stepped up the cross training. I had some hip flexor growing injury stuff. So fortunately, I had a couple of solid physical therapists here in the mountains that helped me out. Just a lot of dry needling, a lot of stretching, more actual like strength training about 6-7 weeks prior to the race. So I was like, all right, I feel good. Like physically, I can do this. It's just kind of making sure that I can stay healthy enough to complete the race. About 2 weeks prior to the race, I was actually feeling pretty good. All right, I got this. We don't need to overuse it anymore. Came to the race and stayed positive throughout the whole thing. Of course, my right side, my right leg was the one that was bothering me the whole 6 weeks prior to the race. Totally fine on race day, and actually moved to my left leg. This is totally random. No, man, perseverance, really.
I mean, you are a very positive person. You're very uplifting in our friend group and, in encouraging people along, no matter if we're running or if we are all biking. Do you have any mantras or positive words of encouragement to get you through? Or like, how do you stay positive all the time?
Yeah, I mean, good question, Mish. Definitely don't take this place for granted where I live. I remind myself how damn fortunate I am, and I just don't live up here to live up here. And using these backyards as my playground essentially, and waking up every day and saying, all right, what's next? For me, I'm a planner. I love to plan. Kind of know what I'm doing about a week out. So having things to look forward to, signing up for a race, months out, definitely just keeps you honest. Having things to look forward to, training for, having those weekday runs where, well, I can't get out for 3 hours and on Wednesday, so using the hills in my backyard just to get out, even if it's for an hour, and just keeping the intensity up. And it's like, dang, all right, we just 1 hour's worth of work, get it in, get it done, put the time in. My mantra is honestly just like to say, keep it weird, keep it fun, keep it interesting. Right?
Love it. Yeah.
If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Like it's one of those things. It's pretty amazing being able to wake up and getting after it, sharing the passions, sharing what we get to do together and with like-minded folks. You can get old, but you don't have to grow up. I like to remind myself that.
Gotta write that down. That's
Yeah.
actually really
Get your
good.
pen. Get your pen. When you're calling down the mountain, do you yell "send it"?
Sending! Yeah, absolutely. You got to keep it weird, keep it fun. It's one of those things that, yeah, you can act like a child, and that's totally okay. That's most of it, right? We wouldn't be doing it otherwise. 5 a.m., 6 a.m. wake up calls, out there for 8 to 10 hours. Like, it's a long day, but
Hmm.
you got to remember why you're out there. The mental fortitude is definitely, you got to embrace it.
For this previous race that you did, what did your prep look like going into it?
Winter, I like to tour a lot up here. Tons of skinning on the split board, getting my vert in there, and relying on the treadmill. I'm not much of a treadmill guy, and I will not do more than 5 miles on a treadmill. And I just kind of rely on the treadmill just for vert. Can't get it outside, and then just transitioning into spring, the running outside to the biking. Got a road bike this summer to help me cross train a little more to get some longer miles in, keep the endurance up. And like I said, just relying on the mountains out here to get the vert that you need to get and explore and tap into some new terrain that I've never been into. Especially, there's a lot that you can't bike around. All right, babe, I'm gonna be gone for 8 to 10 hours, and point A to point B. She's been super awesome, my wife, who's been great support and allowing me to do all this training leading up to it, especially the 4.5-month-old. So long days, long hours definitely helped my lack of sleep at times. That might have come hand in hand with a 100-mile race and sleep deprivation and and some long training runs. Yeah, and just having the community support system up here, handful of friends that, hey, let's do it. You want to do this? You want to do that? I'm like, heck yeah, let's get out there. I think, like I said, planning is definitely huge, because if I wake up and I don't have something to look forward to when it comes to running, and I like to look at maps and making sure I have an exact plan and have a strategic plan.
Mhm.
That's and I have the resources, the waters, and making sure the weather's going to be good, because my 100-mile race 3 weeks ago, I got stuck at 11,000 feet during the rain. Like, well, shit happens. There's variables, and it's like, well,
Mhm.
how do you adapt? Having some, all of that, and then some of the nutrition and the weather, leading up to the race, and having a game plan definitely helped.
Speaking of nutrition, what was that like? What'd you eat before?
Everything.
All the food.
All of the food. Yeah, I mean, keeping it simple in terms of, I didn't like to plan out my diet too much. The standard carb load, couple days out. I ate a lot of overnight oats in the last 4 months. I will say that. Tons of overnight oats. Lots of good carbs. These long runs, I wake up at 5 a.m., drink my coffee, eat my overnight oats, take it as like a nice chill morning, having something to look forward to, and getting out there for the day. But yeah, leading into the race, standard stuff. Pasta. Here's a fun fact. I definitely got backed up a few days before the race, ended up pooping 3 times by the race started at 6 a.m. that Friday.
Oh
So
no.
maybe some nerves and some funny fact. I was the last runner to start the race that Friday because I was still on the bathroom.
Mm.
Yeah,
No.
fun fact there. In terms of nutrition, into the race, I have my own little mixes I make, maltodextrin, a little salt, a little caffeine in there. I had so many gels during the race, and just relying on the aid stations, just staying ahead of the curve, right? It's like,
Yeah.
well, if you're not hungry, you got to eat. Just checking the watch every, 30 minutes, an hour, relying on the simple fast carbs, and relying on the aid stations. All the volunteers are incredible, and making sure you get plenty of food and offering you all the help and then some. Just taking my time in the aid stations. I was never in a rush, just
Mhm.
making sure that I ate not too much, making sure I stuffed my running vest with all the extra gels and whatnot, because every aid station is about 10 miles out. So not really relying 100% on them, and making sure I still had enough in between. I think I packed 200 milligrams of caffeine pills. So I had 3 of those throughout the 34 hours that it took me. Just simple foods, right? All the aid stations is, I felt like I could have brushed my teeth at like mile 20 with all the sugar that I was already taking.
Oh my God.
Nothing too complicated. Half the battle is, nutrition planning and
Mhm.
training. My stomach was super healthy, which is super fortunate, because, I think variable factors of not finishing a long race is, gastrointestinal stuff. And that for me, it was like, cool, we got to get through this. You know what you got to do, and just making sure that no bonking. A couple of guys that met along the race were just, one of them, mile 70, it was 5 a.m. and he was just done. Like, he was just bonking. He was not hungry. He knew he wasn't eating enough. Sadly, he DNF'd. left. You got to eat.
We all talk about nutrition and eating, and it's like so important. You don't know about that when you're just starting out, and you have to learn. And
Yeah, totally. I mean, I remember just training with a couple of friends up here that are kind of newer to the ultra running thing. And like, dude, you sweat a lot. Like, just being mindful, right? Like,
Mhm.
80 degrees, and you're running, 25 miles, and you just don't realize how much you're actually sweating it out. All right,
Yeah.
man, take an element, sweat it
Yeah.
out pretty quick.
All
Yeah.
right, hold
So,
on one second. Wait, are you there?
I am here.
Rory Gallagher.
We wanted to bring on one of your buddies, our friend Rory. There he is. Hi, Rory.
Hey,
So, Rory was with you.
Sure was.
So, we want to talk to one of your pacers and see what that was like.
what are we
The
talking
nitty
about?
gritty.
We're talking about the San Juan Softy 100 and how Greg did. And we're just curious. We've never done this before, invited somebody else on, but we wanted to surprise Greg with you. And you've been a super great support for him and of each other. You guys do a lot of trail runs together, a lot of biking together, skiing, everything. So I just want to know what your experience was like as a pacer.
No, it was good. It was nice to just be out there and not have the stress of racing. It was more just a fun day out in the woods supporting my friend. So that was a nice experience having it be supported with the aid stations and all that. Just makes for a really pleasant day of running. It being the back end of 100 miles, I knew that we were not going to be moving at like my 50-mile pace or anything too fast. So I was able to really take it in and enjoy it.
Nice. When did you join Greg?
I jumped in at 70 or 73 and then finished it out with him. The initial plan was to jump in at 50, but I hadn't really slept that day and I was going to drive in pretty late. So I sort of pawned that off on our buddy Zach. I felt a little bad about that, take on the night shift. But he jumped in no problem. And that meant that I was able to catch a little bit of sleep and recoup a little bit from what was a long day. Yeah, ready to support him.
I mean, you do longer runs, so was this longer for you or is this just kind of average?
I'd run a 50 miler early this summer, so on July 5th. It's still a big day. It's a 50K day, so that's significant.
Pretty good asking a pacer to run 50K with you. Thanks, Rory.
That was a great experience. I would be happy to do it again.
Were you thankful that you had pacers?
Yeah, I mean, first 50 miles of just solo and obviously kind of just meeting other people that are running and getting to know their story. And then as the miles grew closer and closer to mile 50, it was, sun was going down. I'm like, all right, this is getting real. It came into mile 50 at like 7 p.m. We're surprised by Zach and Rory, and it was great. I mean, I had fresh shoes that I put on, fresh socks, fresh shirt. Got the boys. The morale was definitely boosted at that point. And Zach took the first leg with me from 7:30 p.m. until 5 a.m. Then linked up with Rory at 5 a.m. at mile, like 72, 73 up until the end. Super thankful for the boys coming in for me. And, it's a long drive, 5.5 hours to get down there. And just to say you're going to pace your friend throughout the middle of the night. But no, I mean, I honestly couldn't imagine being paced by anyone else. These guys, they know me as a human being. They listen to me and they were there and just one foot in front of the other and just kept it going. Rory definitely helped me with his nursing skills. And it's like the last 75, 80 miles, my feet were definitely hurting my left foot, especially. So kind of listening to my body and relying on Rory to rest my leg on and little self massage. I think we were doing that every 4 or 5 miles. I had to. There are a few points that I couldn't run anymore. I was only able to walk. So having him, and just not for the morale, but just for the support and just saying, hey, we got to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kept you going.
100%. And, he definitely heard me drop a few F-bombs. Plenty in the last 5 hours, I think. The last hill was the hardest and the hottest of the whole race. It was this burn zone that was loose. There was no shade. I felt like it was 80, 85 degrees. And at that point, we're, mid 80 miles. It was tough for me to stay in a positive mindset from that point on. But once we came over that hump and that last ridge, we saw that light was near, and all of a sudden, like, my body was like, "Oh, dude, you're good. Like, you got this."
Yeah.
And I honestly felt like I was like fresh again, like the last 10 miles. It's kind of weird.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that last time was demoralizing, even for me. And I was on fresh leg, and that was hot and sweaty and dry. All the grass, every piece of rush hurt at all, like, was stinging and kind of poke us on the way up there.
No, it was definitely a little relentless, but yeah, got through it. Able to get cell reception the last like 7-8 miles to let our support crew know where we were and kind of what time to expect us, which is good. And being able to make a phone call and getting service for the first time. So I didn't check my phone really. I think I was able to make a phone call at like mile 20. At that point, I just wanted to be in the zone. I didn't listen to a single song the whole race. Phone was on airplane mode, and I just wanted to just be as pure as possible for a long endeavor.
Did you experience the pain cave?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, going back to my feet, I think I messed up. I realized after the fact that at mile 50, I put a fresh pair of Hokas on. I didn't swap out my insoles, my super feet that I truly love because, stock insoles don't really do much for support. And my caveman feet, after hiking 5 months in the Pacific Crest Trail, my feet will never be the same. And so I never swapped out insoles. And I think that's where I went wrong, not having that added support that I needed with my beefier insole. So that was honestly the pain cave for me. Like my legs felt really good, strong the whole way. It was just my feet that were just kind of slowly failing me. And it's like, all right, listen to your body. Like if you want to finish this race, it was just a lot of self-care, after mile 70, like I was saying, every 3 to 5 miles, taking my shoes off, massaging my feet, having Rory help me, and just getting the blood flow back and kind of manipulating my foot, like stretching it in my ankle. And I think that definitely helps. So that for me was the pain cave. I think my lowest point was going back to that rainstorm I was telling you about at like 4:00 that Friday evening. I was at about 11,000 feet in this high alpine meadow. No one around me, could see all the rain clouds kind of stacking up. It was raining all around me. I was definitely felt like, oh shit, you're above tree line, thunderstorms booming right over my head, just echoing throughout the whole valley. And within 15 minutes, the temp dropped, rain started coming down. One of the items that we needed to carry was a rain jacket. And at the time, like, rain jacket? It never rains in Colorado. And sure enough, I veered off the trail, threw my rain jacket on, and then it just opened up and it just started hammering, and it just kind of changed the whole course for like an hour. I found myself hunkering down underneath the pine tree for about 20 minutes, just doing whatever I could to stay warm. Obviously, Mish, I have Renaud, so my hands were white within about 20 minutes. They were cold and just white from my fingertips up like an hour.
Yeah.
So that was a low point for me. And I think that honestly, that was the right move because a couple of racers just kept running and running. I know some other people had foot issues. People were just soaking wet. I'm like, for such a long run, like for 15 minutes, I know it sucks not being able to go. But I think that for me, I didn't really get rained on. I had my rain jacket on. This pine tree provided some great shelter I needed at the time at, 11,000 feet. And the temp dropped to about 45 degrees, it felt like. And then I got cold. And then within an hour, the sun came back out. And I'm like, whew, that just like cool. Had it kept raining, that could have been maybe a turnaround factor for me. But the sun came out. That aid station about 8 miles after I was hanging out in that pine tree had hot chocolate. So I definitely downed some hot chocolate, warmed me back up, got the core back nice and warm, and just allowed me to keep going.
Did you ever, I feel like we hear about hallucinating from like Andrew Glaze and whatever. Did you hallucinate?
I didn't. I think having my support crew and just carrying the conversations definitely helped me just let my mind wander at that point, and just having the friends kind of chuckling at 2 a.m. like, what are we doing? We're still running. It's 2:00 in the morning right now. But no, I thought, all the stories leading up to this race, I thought, oh, I'm definitely going to hallucinate. No, I think just carrying the conversations and keeping things fun throughout the night helped my mind not wander and kind of staying pretty focused.
So you stay pretty coherent the entire time. I was impressed.
Yeah, I think you saw me in my low point a few times, Rory. I think at that last, 50 miles to go on top of that last big push, you were helping me out with literally taking both my arms and forcing me getting off the ground after massaging my feet because I was pretty smoked.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Rory. Was there anything else you want to add? We appreciate you surprising Greg.
Yeah, definitely. It was good to see you on here. And
yeah,
you guys have a good chat. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Rory. Love you, brother.
Have a good one.
See you, buddy.
What a surprise. Thanks for that.
Yeah, of course. Thought that would be fun. We got the gist of it.
I mean, yeah, he's having a hard time hearing it every now and then, but some of the keywords, and yeah, Rory, definitely a solid friend. He definitely is my training partner up here, and both have little kids, making time to get out together. And we definitely embrace that when we can get out and play in our little playground back here in Ville, Colorado.
You kind of answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you about shoes, and I know that you wear Hoka's, but then you had tried those other shoes that John was wearing.
Yeah, so my go-to trail shoe is definitely the Hoka right now, and I just stuck to the Speed Goats, finding the Speed Goat Model 5 because the newer ones have terrible reviews. So about 2 weeks prior to the race, found some Hokas on clearance for $75. The model that I was looking for, I'm like, score. So grab those. But yeah, I think the last month of the longer runs that I was relying more on the pavement, I swapped to the Mountain Coast R1s. I love that shoe. My foot's super happy in them, and I'll continue running on the road with those. And I'm definitely going to consider trying out the T1s, their trail shoe. The Speed Goats, for me, they've worked. I did a 60K. I mentioned that about 3 years ago, right before the 50 miler, and I ran in my ultras, my low peaks, and they didn't give me the support that I needed in the longer miles during the race, where the Speed Goats just give that little extra plush cushion, if you will, the longer. And I think that helped me, especially my knees and just overall just body not aching too bad.
Jason's
Yep.
a New Balance guy. We just have to plug New Balance on every shoe.
New Balance, huh? You might find me in some white New Balances with some high socks, rocking the dad look at some point.
Okay, that's acceptable. That's acceptable.
I say that because my father-in-law, that's all he wears.
Classics.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you do any other activities as an outlet?
Man, I try to do it all, trail running, mountain biking, got into road biking. Never thought I'd say that. Probably wore some Mandex a couple times this summer on the old road bike.
It's like the new thing. I don't know. They're all wearing it.
I rocked the mountain bike shorts a few times, had a little drag, wasn't so aerodynamic. So I'm like, I'm going to try something else out. Happy to say I haven't shaved my legs. No, I mean, I just try to do it all, right? I just kind of keep the mind wandering a little bit and, never get bored of one activity, a hobby. And like I said, there's a reason why I live up here and I want to do it all. Honestly, it's allowed me to meet more people in all the communities of mountain biking and road biking and trail running and road running and touring after work up Beaver Creek at 6 o'clock at night, whipping out the headlights and going for a spin. And for me, it flows easier throughout the year. I never find myself just not doing anything, I think, which with the seasons and the sports that are involved, there are no downtimes. There is no getting out of shape.
Do you have any races on the books?
I will definitely have another 100-miler on the books. I think if I could find the balance and let Lindsay do her thing and, vice versa with me, I think we'll find that compromise. And I definitely want to do another 100. I think it'll be an every other year thing. So I'm thinking next year, I want to do the rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon in May.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, so that'll be a good 50-miler, some big vert there and something different. Been fortunate to float the Grand Canyon for 23 days, but to run it, why not? And there's so many people that do it. And so, yeah, having a small group that I can rely on, a couple of strong individuals that, we could knock it out, in a day trip, obviously. And Lindsay wants to do a 50-mile race next year. So it'll be good to support her and be in the sidelines with Avery and watching mom do her thing. I think the 100-mile race thing for me will be a family trip, destination trip every other year. That's the fun of it, right? So I would like to run, especially me trail running. I want to see new things, making a point to, but hey, let's do this that year, and something new on a map every other year. So something like that is what I have in mind.
It didn't scare you off. That's good.
No, and it's honestly after my 50-mile race, dang, I almost feel too good. What's next? And then they're like, I said 100 miles. Okay, what's next? Sort of thing. And so I'm a masochist. I like pushing the boundaries, obviously, and tapping into the unknowns. That's the fun of it.
Do you have any new advice for new runners trying to get into trail running or biking or any other activity?
Yeah, I mean, start small, right? Don't overdo it. That's how injuries happen. Remind yourself why you're doing it, right? If you're not having fun, let's backtrack and remind yourself why you're out there. Whether it's getting in shape, exploring the local trail system, or just getting involved and meeting new people. I think that principal progression is a key to most things with training. Start small, build up. The first mile is the hardest, right? anything,
Mhm.
kind of fine tuning it, letting the oil warm up a little bit. And for me, I typically don't settle in until after mile 5. And I'm like, cool, we're running. So yeah, keep it fun, right? Keep it fun, keep it weird, keep it interesting. Get out there, get into your unknown and in that discomfort zone, and like remind yourself why you're doing it. It's always a good reminder afterwards how damn good you feel. Cool. And you get to share cool stories, right? And see places and meet great folks.
So
That's great
true.
advice.
Well, Greg, we're so lucky that we got to have you on the show, and I appreciate you taking the time. I do want you to know that when you finished your race, we were in the car, Brandon and I actually started crying, and Brandon
Oh,
was like, "What are you doing? What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "Greg just finished 100 miles." And he's like,
it's
"You're ridiculous." I'm so proud of you. I get so proud of my friends. I get proud of Jason. I tell him that, we tell each other that. And I'm just in awe of the things that we all can do. And you shared it with us. And I just felt super lucky that I was included, but yeah, I was just like so
yeah.
proud of you, man. I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
this is
thanks,
amazing.
Mish. Heck yeah, girl. No, thanks. I love every time I'm down there in Arvada and say, hey, got to go for a run. You want to join? Like, hell yeah. That's
Get him to
like,
go early in the dark too. So
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, what time are we? We're waking up at 4:45 to run 6 miles. What? Okay.
he was like, "Will you make me coffee?" Okay.
But no, I mean, it's keeping that structure, keeping a foundation. Like, all right,
Mhm.
got to get it in. Thanks for holding me accountable. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. All right. So why don't you tell the listeners where they can find you on Instagram?
And at Greg Sagan.
So easy. Jason, where can they find you?
Mine will be go for your 30.
And I'm
Mhm.
M Quit. We appreciate everyone listening. Please follow, like, share, whatever you got to do. Keep listening, keep running, keep getting out the door, and we'll see you next time.
Well, cool. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night.
All right. See you
Talk to you
guys.
soon. Bye.
Bye.